All right, everyone, here we go. Final Cut Friday. Good old Final Cut Friday. There's not anything happening anywhere in Final Cut land anywhere, is there? This is the only place right here, Final Cut Friday. Welcome, everybody. My name is Richard Taylor, and we are going to be talking about Final Cut today. Whatever is out there, that's what we're going to talk about Final Cut-wise. Is there a lot of Final Cut Pro news? Not really, not news. There's a lot of discussion still, of course. People are discussing the Final Cut Pro 10.6.5 update that we got a couple weeks ago. And that was the third bug fix in a row. Okay, we got 10.6.2. We've had 4 bug fixes in 7 months. 10.6.1, we got 10.6.2, which had a few features in it, which we all appreciate. Final Cut Pro editors appreciate the Final Cut Pro team putting out some features in these updates. We're going to be talking about that because if you look at what Logic just put out with 10.7.2, whatever that was, item after item after item after item after item. Resolve just came out with 18, DaVinci Resolve 18.1, I think. Excuse me. 18.1. Let me just check the audio real quick, make sure it's okay. Audio sounds fine. I'm excited for a couple of reasons. Number one is I just went to check before we went live my UAudio setup, and they just updated the drivers and plugins for Ventura, which I'm on now. I'm on Ventura because I have a dual boot system. I have Monterey and Ventura, and I made a mistake when I went to update. I meant to do a dual partition, and when I chose to download Ventura, it overwrote my Monterey partition. It's not a partition, volume completely. It overwrote it. Now, as it turns out, that's been okay. 95% of the things that I'm using, not everybody in every situation, but what I'm using has been working. But anyway, United Audio came out and they've updated hardware and plugins for Ventura today. Anyone feel deja vu? Poor Final Cut Pro update with good Logic Pro update. I am not going to debate that. I mean, this is the third bug fix in a row. It seems like for the Final Cut Pro team that watches this, we presume that you're working hard on Final Cut Pro. but you're not giving us any evidence that you're doing that. 3 bug fixes in a row is highly unusual. Usually you do 1 bug fix or 2 bug fixes and then a feature update. Now it's like you're not giving us features. The last features were April or March of April last year, so 7 or 8 months ago, and that was 2 features, the voice isolation and the dupe detection, which is, we've been requesting that for 11 years. So I don't talk when people say, oh, we don't want feature creep in Final Cut Pro. There's no feature creep if it takes 11 years to get something as basic as dupe detection. Okay, that's not feature creep. That's feature sleep. That means the features are sleeping. But anyway, being the eternal Final Cut Pro optimist that I am, I'm always waiting for the next big thing. So I'm expecting a big update in 10.7. I expect 10.7 anytime between now and when the M2s come out, possibly in the spring. I expect Final Cut Pro 7 to be introduced along with the M2 Max, the new MacBook Pro, or whatever. Jacob says, are you going to any of the Final Cut Pro Roadshow? Probably not. Probably not. The Roadshow, if you don't know, we'll talk about that. They're calling it the Final Cut Pro Global Summit. It's not the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, okay? That was 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. I'm doing a documentary about that. I'm going to have a film out any time now, probably next week, hopefully next week, but 40 minutes long, and I'm covering 2016 through 2019. I'm going to show you what the Creative Summit was. That's not what's happening now, and I don't really know why they chose to do it in 10 different cities, one day in 10 cities, rather than everybody comes together at one location. Maybe it's health related, maybe it's COVID situation, I don't know. But I hope back in 2023, they get back to the Juniper Hotel and making that big true summit happen again. Because that was phenomenal. That was my favorite event of the year. So let's go over that real quick. Close that down. Shut those off. Chris says, 10.7 should be an infusion of Logic Compressor and Final Cut Pro into a power bundle. The lack of communication, like you said, by Apple is curious. So, yeah, well, it's here's the thing. I don't pay attention to words, okay? One thing I've learned in my life, I've learned lots of things. I don't pay attention to what somebody says. What I pay attention to is what somebody does. And that includes the Final Cut Pro team. You can talk all you want and say, we listen. But when it takes 11 years to get dupe detection, that's not listening, okay? That's not listening. 11 years to get something as basic that every other NLE has, like dupe detection, that's not listening. I'm sorry. We've been talking about dupe detection for a long time, years and years and years, and we finally got it at year 11. That's not listening. Actions. I pay attention to actions, not lip service, not promises. That doesn't mean anything. Actions. 3 bug fixes in a row is certainly curious, and you could do more. The Final Cut Pro team could do more communication with the audience. You could do more communication. Like I said, I'm the eternal Final Cut Pro optimist, so I'm waiting on 10.7. Jacob says, old phrase, actions speak louder than words. Absolutely. In almost every case. So let's don't, Final Cut Pro team, we appreciate you, but you really, the last 4 years, okay, 10.5 was a dud. There wasn't anything there. 10.6 was a dud. There wasn't anything there. Let's hope 10.7 has a dud. It's not a dud. So when I say a dud, listen, Don't tell me about optimization and stability, okay? That's like saying I'm going to buy a car and the steering wheel is a feature. No, it's not. It's not a feature. Steering wheel is not a feature of a car. The steering wheel is the base thing, one of the base things that you should always expect in a car. Same with the Final Cut Pro update. Always expect stability. Always expect, bug fixes and stuff like that. That's the baseline. That's not a feature. Features are voice isolation, dupe detection. Those are new features. That's the last two we got. I think it was March, right before NAB last year, was when I expected it to come out. So, but anyway, today is Final Cut Friday. I want all of you to chime in about what you want to talk about with Final Cut Pro. I have some few things I want to talk about. So let's go to the Creative Summit first. So this is the Creative Summit. Apple training, so they're calling it the Final Cut Pro Global Summit because this is traveling around the globe. Apple Training Certification World Tour. You notice this is not called the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Okay, this is not the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. This is the Apple Trainings and Certification World Tour. That's different than the Creative Summit. I'm glad that they've made that distinction. I'm very glad. This is a really good opportunity for some people. If you want to get certified, if you want to get some Apple training, this is fantastic. $125 for the day. $125 for the day of a whole day of training, different cities. They've already been to New York. They've been to Florida. I think they're coming to Austin, Texas next. $125. You get an entire day of Final Cut Pro training, and you get to meet fellow editors, local editors, or people that come to that version of the training to the summit. You get to meet people. You get to talk to people. Get to interact. They have some kind of an expo night. And for $125, which is very cheap, because the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit was $1,000. Plus, you had to get a motel room. Plus, you had to pay for your meals. It could easily be $2,000 by the time you're done. But was it $2,000 well spent? Absolutely. When my documentary comes out shortly, hopefully in a week or so, you'll see what the Creative Summit was for those who have not been there. But it's going to be fantastic. And this road show that they're having now is really a good deal for training. And the second thing is they have an exam to become an Apple certified, Apple training certified. That exam is $149. If you go to the Apple Training Certification and World Tour, it's only $125, and that includes a voucher for the exam. So you can get the exam included for $125. Normally the exam by itself is $149. So right there it's worth it. Plus you get the training, plus you get to meet local people. It's just not the big event that we had in the past where everybody comes together in one location for 3 or 4 days, which is phenomenal. It's like Final Cut Pro Christmas all the time. So anyway, let's see what this is. Apple Training Certification World Tour, 10 cities, Final Cut Pro Global Summit. Join us in states or overseas. VIP guest. I think I saw that both Steve Martin and Mark Spencer are both going to be at the Austin, Texas Global Summit. 1 complimentary certification exam voucher, $149. Complimentary certification prep course recording. Full day of cutting-edge training. Access to networking expo night to interact with peers and local talent. Final Cut Pro Global Summit Tour recording bundle post-event. A post-tour Q&A webinar with presenters. A goodie bag of industry giveaways. So that's worth $125. That's definitely worth $125, don't you think? Now, one of the things, like I said, the original summit was over $1,000, plus you had to pay for the hotel room, plus you had to pay for any taxis and transportation, plus you had to pay for your own food and meals. So this is $125. It's only one day, but it's still a lot more affordable, and it's coming to your neighborhood. It is coming to your neighborhood, so that's a good deal. Let's just check up on things here. Just keeping an eye out. But anyway, I want everybody else to chime in if you have any questions. We are broadcasting to all the Final Cut Pro Facebook groups. We are broadcasting to YouTube Live. We are broadcasting to Twitter. As a matter of fact, let me go over there and check on Twitter. Let me see what's going on there. Yes, we're over there on Twitter. So Twitter is interesting these days, isn't it? It's very interesting. So one of the things that Elon Musk has said, if you're a Twitter user, is he's going to start competing with YouTube with video, longer form video, and he's going to compete in the podcast arena. Those are two areas that Twitter does not really do right now. So when he's talking about long form videos, I can stream, which I'm on right now, broadcasting to Twitter Live. There's no restriction. There's no time restriction. If I upload a video to Twitter, like a tutorial or something, it's limited to 2 minutes and 20 seconds. 2 minutes and 20 seconds, because Twitter's a more condensed version of everything. But he's talking about opening it up to longer form videos to be in competition with YouTube. I'd like to see YouTube get some competition. I like all these platforms to have competition. So I know people have been saying they're going to quit Twitter and they're joining Mastodon. Mastodon's a big mess. Mastodon is one big mess. I joined it, but I can't even tell you what my address is over there. I have no idea what it is. I have to look it up. On Twitter, I can tell you. It's Richard Taylor TV. YouTube, I can tell you. Richard Taylor TV. Facebook, I can tell you. Richard Taylor TV. Instagram, Richard Taylor TV. Twitch TV, Richard Taylor TV. I can't tell you what it is on Mastodon. I know it's Richard Taylor TV at something, 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 but every server has a different at something, something, something. It's a big mess. But I find it funny that people go on Twitter to announce that they're leaving Twitter. They go on Twitter to announce that they're leaving Twitter. Twitter's not an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. Just, if you want to leave, you can leave. That's fine. I'm hanging in there because I only get involved with post-production and Final Cut Pro stuff, and I do some animal rescue things and some things like that. But Eric Emmerich says, I'm just as interested in Resolve for iPad as I am for new Final Cut Pro 10. Listen, Blackmagic is absolutely incredible. So let's go over there real quick. Blackmagic just came out with DaVinci Resolve 18.1. I'm not gonna play the video, but it does all these things. It has a bunch of new features. I mean, a laundry list of features, including vertical video now you can do, which, yeah, Final Cut's had it for a while. But the development pace of Logic Pro, the development pace of Blackmagic Resolve, and at least those two, LumaFusion, it's another one I'll throw in there. It runs circles around the development pace of Final Cut Pro. Circles. So let's go over here. So what's new in Logic 10.7.5? There's a free course over there at Mac Pro Video. Oh, come on. Get off there. There's a free course over there.
This is Carney. I'm a music producer, recording engineer, musician, and songwriter, and I'm also a longtime user of Logic Pro. In this 10-part course, I'm going to give you detailed tutorials.
Sorry. They are doing a 10-part free course over there at Mac Pro Video, 10 parts for free on what's new in Logic 10.7.5. 10-part course on what's new in Logic Pro 10.7.5. Has anybody done a what's new in Final Cut Pro 10.6.5? No. 10.6.4? 10.6.3? No. There's nothing there. Little bug fixes. Little sprinkling of bug fix dust. 10.6.2 with the 2 new features, yes. But that was back 7 months ago. So since then, Logic's been updated to 10.7.5. LumaFusion has been updated. DaVinci Resolve, I can't even keep track of how many times they've been updated. It's absolutely incredible. So this is Logic Pro release notes. Logic Pro release notes. Look at this. This just came out. New in Logic Pro 10.7.5. Ten 10.7.5, this is one single point update. Look at this stuff. There you go. There we finally get to 10.7.4. That was all 10.7.5. 10.7.5. Logic. That was a point update. Come on, Final Cut Pro team. Now, like I said, I'm the eternal optimist. We'll see what 10.7 brings. I'm hoping for a big feature update. Big feature update. That's what I'm hoping for. But I also was hoping for a big update in 10.5 and 10.6. We didn't get it. So Tyler says 32-bit float support in Logic Pro 10.7.5 was a big deal for me. Why was it a big deal for you? Are you using that in film production or something? Why is 32-bit float? I record everything in 24-bit audio-wise these days. I don't know if I would even record in 32-bit, but I wonder why it's a big deal for you. Tyler Darlington said that. I know it's a big deal because a lot of people commented on it. Let's go back for a second to the Global Summit. So we've already been to New York and Orlando. Austin, Texas, I think is next. It's next Friday. Register now. So let's see what's going on there. Doors open at 8 o'clock. Summit World Tour includes, there's Mark Spencer, Jen Jager. I think Steve Martin's going to be there. At least he was. Maybe he's not anymore. This keeps changing. Okay, he's not going to be there. Huh. I'm pretty sure he was scheduled to be there, so they've changed it. He's not going to be there anymore. Huh, that's interesting. But anyway, this is what's going on for right now for the year, the venue location. So I have, let me just do this real quick. This is a picture of the Final Cut Pro Global Summit or Global Tour in New York. That's Jeff Greenberg on the stage. I think that's Nick on the stage with him or somebody else. So I'm just guesstimating. It looks like about a couple dozen, if you count the people that are in this picture, a couple dozen people. This is the New York New York one that they had. But it looks to be like a couple dozen, 2 dozen, maybe 30 people showed up. It's a nice room, that's for sure. Nice room. So Eric says 32. No, I realize what 32-bit is. 32-bit means recording audio and never have to say you're sorry. I understand that. I guess I was just talking about why is it important to you. Float formats allow me exceed 0 dBFS and bring down the file in post to preserve the transient information that otherwise would have been lost or clipped in 24-bit integer format. I see. So that's what you use it for. No, I use 24-bit. I've used 20 when I record CDs and stuff. Oh, let me see. That didn't work. So when I record CDs and stuff, I always recorded in 24-bit in the older days. Now 32-bit, that makes complete sense. That makes complete sense. I understand what the benefit of 32-bit is. I guess I was curious why it was important to you working with Final Cut Pro, but you've explained it. That works, completely works. But anyway, there's not a whole lot of Final Cut Pro news. I have a couple more things to talk about. Let me just check on some of the chats that we have. So we're on the Final Cut Pro Editors Facebook page and a bunch of other ones. FCPX, of course, Final Cut TV Radio. We're on that page as well. Let me just pull that up. So we're on that page. Of course, we're broadcasting live to that page. There we are. The audio. So we're on that page. Yep, audio works fine. I always have to check the audio because there's been some glitches in the past with audio and stuff. And I'm doing good. One of the things, like I said, I was really excited about was this. So all my U audio is now updated, has been updated for Ventura. Really excited about that. Because the last time I did a live stream, when I first got Ventura, all this stuff was not updated. All this stuff, all these compressors and limiters and things were not updated. So the advantage of using U Audio, Apollo Twin X, there is a great advantage to it. The plugins run on the hardware. All those plugins you saw run on the hardware. All these plugins are running in real time on the Apollo Twin X interface. They're not running on my Mac computer. So it's like having all these emulation plugins in real time. They're fantastic. It's a fantastic platform. Very expensive. Very expensive. I'll give them that. That's for sure. I think they have a sale now going on. Speaking of sales, so Black Friday's coming up. Plug-in makers going to have sale. I think some of them already have sales. And you get deals on plugins. I know I get, typically I'll go to Groove. I subscribe to Groove 3 for their training. They have Logic training. They have guitar player training. They have a bunch of other music-related plug-in trainings, Pro Tools training over there. And you can get it during the special. I think it's normally $149 for the year, and then you can get it during the special for $99. So I usually update that during the special. Speaking of updating things, what's going on with Kino? Are they out of business? Somebody said that they're out of business. They went out of business. They sell to somebody or something? Because I thought I had a few updates of Kino, and it's not quite working or something now. When you have problems with Final Cut Pro being updated, we went to 10.6.5. If you ask me for help, first thing I'm going to ask you, are you talking about a plugin that's not working? Because if you're talking about a plugin that's not working, that's on the plugin manufacturer. Okay? The beta for Ventura has been out since June. They've had 5 months, 4 months to get their plugins working in Ventura. So if a plugin's not working, that's different than there's a bug in Final Cut Pro or there's a bug in the OS. Different things. If it's a plugin, go to the manufacturer of the plugin and tell them to get off their butts and get things working for Ventura. Like I said, U-Audio just came out this last week or last couple of days and got their update for both the hardware, because my firmware was updated, plus the plugins were updated for Ventura. So now I feel a lot better. Oh, there you go. Kino sold to Adobe. Adobe is the worst place to work, okay? It's the worst. They constantly buy software and the software disappears. It just disappears. We're going to buy this competitor and it's gone. I have no love for Adobe. Not for some of the people that work there. I know some people that work there, but Adobe as a company, you guys just are the worst example of what a company can do in the world. Your subscription model is absolutely the worst subscription model. I would never subscribe to a model like yours. And the reason is, if you stop paying your subscription fee for the rest of your life, you can never stop. If you stop paying the subscription fee, the current version of the software that you had and that you've been working with, and that you've been working with for the last 3 or 4 months, if you stop paying them, that version of the software will no longer work. It's the worst. Anyway, people know how I feel about that. So Kino was sold to Adobe. What bad news that is. I was disappointed when Frame.io was sold to Adobe as well. They sold out. They sold out to Adobe. It's not a matter of opinion. They sold out to Adobe. Adobe is the boss of them. Adobe is their boss now. So I was much more interested in Kino not being with Adobe, and I was much more interested in Frame.io before they sold out to Adobe, because no matter what they say, once again, this is talk, the action is Adobe is going to tell them what to do. And there's nobody in Adobe that is friendly towards Final Cut Pro. Those people do not exist, okay? Final Cut Pro is not a friend. Adobe is not a friend of Final Cut Pro editors. Let's just say that. Resolve 18.1 added AI voice isolation. I saw that. Similar to that of Final Cut Pro, but also an AI voice leveler as well. Unless uses something like 3 processes to level dialogue. That is very, very interesting. I wonder if they one-upped what Final Cut Pro had. From what you're telling me, it sounds like they did. So let me just say something. People all the time are saying voice isolation as noise cancellation. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Voice isolation is different than noise reduction or noise cancellation. It's a different thing. So voice isolation, to me, works much better, especially in Final Cut Pro. They did a great job bringing that out. Was anybody expecting? Oh, he said, oh, Eric said, you got me started on my Adobe rant. Oops, sorry, Kino sold to Signet, my bad. So not to Adobe. I was going to say, I didn't hear that they sold to Adobe. Signet, I have no idea who Signet is. But whatever's happened with Kino, it seems to have stalled. Well, obviously wasn't a good thing. I used to like Kino. I've had Robert on my show, interviewed him multiple times over the years, but it's not, I have no idea what, it's nothing, I don't know what's going on with it. So Adobe, I was going to say that is a weird combination. But so anyway, it's got me, I'm now off my Adobe rant. Not a fan of Adobe. I used to use Adobe when I first started Premiere. And the first mistake they made was they dropped support for the Mac. They dropped support for the Mac and was Windows only. That was their first strike. Then they bought, I used to use this web design software called Go Live. For its time, it was a great piece of software for web design for the Mac only. What happened? Adobe bought Go Live, and every version that they brought out down, down, down. They did exactly what they said they were not going to do. They bought Go Live, they ruined Go Live, they abandoned Go Live. That's exactly what they did. So, no fan of Adobe, that's for sure. Let's see what's going on in the Final Cut Pro world. People have been, when 10.5 came out, let me see if I can pull a couple of these up. When 10.5 came up, people are complaining about it. They're saying, well, I'm going to jump on Resolve, or I'm going to do this. First off, NLE editing in LE is not a zero-sum game. You can use Resolve and you can use Final Cut. There's no reason why you can't use both. You can use LumaFusion and you can use Final Cut. That's what I do. I use Resolve, LumaFusion, and Final Cut. Between those three, mostly Final Cut. Between those three, I'm set. I don't need anything else. I don't want to get involved with Motion. I'm sorry. I'd rather pay somebody $10 or $15 or $20 to do a template for me than get involved. I'm just not interested. Logic, yes. Absolutely. I love Logic. And this new version of Logic, 10.7.5, is that what it is? Whatever the new version is. They have a lot of very, very cool features. One of them is clip gain. I can select the clip and adjust the gain on that one clip. Not the same as dragging the volume up and down. That's different. They have volume automation. I can do that. This is clip gain. I can select one clip now and do it. You can always do it in the side. They had a side panel, a channel strip. You can do it there. Now you can do it directly on the clip. They have an actual tool called clip gain. I really, really like that because I do adjust volumes a lot. Gains a lot. Eric says Signet provides remote media access, another cloud media company. So listen, these people that are selling their companies to Adobe and to Signet and whatever, I don't blame you. Frame.io got $1.2 billion to sell out to Adobe. I would do that. But then I'd go do something else that I wanted to do. I'd sell the company. They made me stay, I'd stay. But, $1.2 billion, that's a lot of money. Same with, I'm sure Kino got paid a handsome amount of money and they got tired of doing whatever they're doing. But as a consumer, disappointing. Filmic Pro, another example. They went from a paid app that was was it $19 or $20 to a $50 a year subscription. $50 a year subscription. Ain't going to do that. First off, there's plenty of pro camera apps in the iOS store now. At one point, Filmic Pro was like one of the main ones or the main one. Not anymore. There's plenty of ones that don't have a subscription. I'm not going to support some of those subscriptions. I have a couple of subscriptions that I do. I have iCloud, $3 a month, $2.99 a month. I have Descript. No, I'm sorry, not Discreet. What is it? Descript. And I have Descript because it gives me transcription service included in that monthly fee. I can upload an audio file or a video file, and it will transcribe it for me. That's just one of the features. But I keep it mainly for subscription, for transcription. That's the main reason that I keep it. Has anybody else heard any Final Cut Pro news? I'm just going through Twitter. Most of the Final Cut Pro stuff I get is from Twitter. I belong on a couple of, search the hashtags and stuff. So what's going on Twitter? So Pro Video Formats was updated to 10.4. Pro Video Format was updated to 2.2.4. If you haven't seen that in your update file, let me just pull that up. If you haven't seen that in your update file, it's available. Now, what's weird is, let me just pull this up. Can I pull that up? No, I have to go. What's kind of peculiar is, let me take this off. This is the New York deal. What's curious is it's available. There it is. Pro Video Formats 2.2.4. It's available as a direct download, or it's available from your system updating. But I got the direct download link. It's available there if you haven't updated. I checked mine. And I was at 2.2.3. So I haven't updated yet, but I needed to update. So that's available. Let's see what else we have here. Let me just take that off. There's New York. Oh, so this came up in my feed, on my Facebook feed. This was 11 years ago. I was teaching Final Cut Pro certification classes, advanced video editing production, in Boston University down in Georgetown, Washington, D.C. Boston University had a satellite location down there, and they taught photography and music and lighting and sound and Final Cut Pro. So, but 11 years ago, it was probably Final Cut Pro 7 because it was an advanced class, and Final Cut Pro 10 was just coming out at that point, so I certainly would not have been teaching an advanced Final Cut Pro 10 class. So this was Final Cut Pro 7 advanced class. In those days, Apple had the training for it. They had manuals, certification manuals, just like Future Media Concepts is working with Apple now. Just like Future Media Concepts is hanging out now. Let me see what this is. All right. So let's see what's going on here. Spam risk. It says spam risk. You think I'm going to answer that call? No. Click. It says spam risk. Sometimes it says telemarketer. Yeah, I'm not answering that call. I don't know how they get tagged with spam risk and telemarketer, but I do use my Apple Watch. I don't buy one every year because here's what I use this for. I use it to time my coffee in the morning. I do a AeroPress inverted method, and you're supposed to leave it inverted for 3 minutes. So I'll put a 3-minute timer on so I know when it's done. I use it when I do my morning walk every morning. I go 2 miles every morning, and I track the walking on my watch. Of course, I check time with it. Once in a while, I'll check the day. That's fine. So anyway, let's see what else is going on here in the world of Final Cut Pro. I don't think much is happening. I figured I'd come on here today. We just talk about stuff the best we could based on what's going on. Let me just see if I can get this to go back down again. There we go. So I'm working on 3 documentaries right now. One of them is the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit documentary. That's 80%, 90%, it's probably 90%, 95% done. I just have to, there's a couple more segments that I'm debating whether to put in there or not. I probably will. Right now it's at 40 minutes. It might expand to 44, 45 minutes, and then I'm going to be done with it. And then we'll see what happens. Hopefully next year there's a real creative summit in Cupertino. That's what I'd like to see. So the idea that they have these classes and people are there, I don't think that COVID was the issue. I think it was something they wanted to try. But I want to see the original Summit come back, Creative Summit. Let's see what else is here. We saw DaVinci Resolve. We saw the Pro Video formats. There's the plug-in. Oh, here's something interesting. I'm going through and cleaning out downstairs, and we're going to get a lot of photographs. Now this, I can't bring it up close because it's out of focus. This is me. Does anybody know where that is? Anybody recognize where that is? It's a graveyard. I'll give you one hint. It's in Paris. See if anybody knows what famous gravesite I would have been visiting. Anybody? You can have a hint. You can see some hint in there. This was a while ago. I was only in Paris one time, and that was the 1980s, I believe. But I just found this picture. It's Jim Morrison's grave. Jim Morrison, the lead singer for the Doors. It's his gravesite. I went there on a Sunday morning. Yeah, Morrison's, right. I went there on a Sunday morning. 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning. It was a little bit cold. It was like February. And everybody's a lot of people there singing Doors songs and stuff. Now here, when I used to play out regular, this is a picture of me at one of my shows. I'm not sure which one. But look, I was wearing a suit jacket. Now look at that. I still wear a suit jacket. There you go. Let's see it better that way. Playing my Strat that I still have, Stratocaster. I played for quite a few years. I really enjoyed it. I still play, but mostly I do music videos now. I do some live concerts, but mostly I bring other bands in and do them. So, all right. What else do we have? Looking up the Final Cut Pro hashtag on Twitter. So people are starting to have their sales. I think FX Factory has a sale. Let's see. Oh, by the way, one of the products that I recommend, not getting paid for it, is Video Enhance AI. I think they're on sale too right now. I really like them a lot. Let's see what else we have here. So, yeah, I'm on Twitter and people saying, oh, I'm going to leave Twitter. I'm going to Mastodon. But I don't even know what my address is, other than it is Richard Taylor TV at something. But love the Strat photo. Rock on. Absolutely. My Strat is right over here. Let's do graphics. Oh, let's do this. Wait a minute, where in the heck? This is the backyard. This is the backyard. You can see all the leaves are on the ground right now. This is the backyard today, but during the couple weeks ago, it was much prettier. A couple weeks ago, we had this. I shot this on my iPhone. Look at this. This was my backyard a few weeks ago when the leaves just started changing. Does anyone have a problem with an iMac that cannot read an SD card? Reading ability comes and goes randomly. I've heard people talk about that on their MacBook Pros as well. I don't know if a third-party card reader will help that situation or not. I don't know. You just got to stick it in there. If it reads it, get the media off quickly. And if it doesn't read it, pull it out and stick it back in again. So I use the card reader in my MacBook Pro most of the time, but sometimes I'll use a USB-C card reader. One of the things that I was curious about, people were talking initially about the new M2 Max, and they were going to have a new M2 16-inch MacBook Pro and a new M2 14-inch MacBook Pro. They originally were going to be out, they said in November, and I'm like, really? Only 1 year old, they're going to replace the MacBook Pro after 1 year? It seemed odd to me that they were going to do that. Plus, the Mac Pro, the M2 Mac Pro, did not make the 2-year transition between Intel and Apple Silicon that Tim Cook talked about at WWDC. Every other Mac did. Every other Mac did. Mac Mini, iMac, MacBook Pro, MacBook Air. They've all made the transition to Apple Silicon, but not the Mac Pro. And it doesn't look like it's going to make the 2-year transition, which is right now, probably in the spring. That's not a surprise to me. The surprise was that they said it was going to. They said that all Macs will transition over in approximately 2 years. Well, it's going to be probably the spring. Here's the curious thing to me. Well, I'm saying curious. It's not really curious. Here's the thing to me. If Apple does not give us updates to Final Cut Pro until next spring, feature updates, not bug fixes, not performance enhancements, not stability. That's ridiculous if you think that's a feature. That's like saying, oh, the steering wheel in my car, I'm glad I have this feature. No, that's automatic. If they don't give us the update until the spring, they gave us 2 features last spring, and then a year later, it takes them 1 year to get more features to us. Can you guys go over to the Logic team and see how they do it? Can you go over to the Blackmagic team, put a mustache on, put a Groucho Marx mustache on or goatee, put a wig on, and go over to Blackmagic for a few days and see how they update all their software so quickly. Now, I'm counting on 10.7 being a big update. If it's not my job to defend them. I'm not going to defend a meager update if it's like 10.5 and 10.6 was. He says, Eric says, and the silly rumors about a new display now. Why not a display? It seems like the display is kind of old. But the MacBook Pro is only 1 year old because I got it. That's what I'm broadcasting on. 1 year old. But the high-end display is older, isn't it? Isn't it like 2 years old? So that could be. But it just seemed when everybody was talking about it, even Mark Gurman, it's going to be out in November. We're going to have M2 Max out in November. When they said that, I said, well, if they're going to be out in November, then we're going to have Final Cut Pro 10.7 alongside them. They're going to bring out 10.7 alongside the M2 Max. That's what they've done in the past. They brought out Final Cut Pro 10.5 with the original announcement of the Apple Silicon Max in 2020. They brought out Final Cut Pro 10.6 with the MacBook Pro, 16 or 14-inch MacBook Pro M1 Max a year ago. So it just makes sense that 10.7 is going to come out with whenever the Apple Silicon Macs are coming out. Now, people are saying now in the spring. But if we have to wait, an entire year, we had 2 features in 10.6.2 last spring, and we got to wait an entire year for new features to be added. And I'm not talking about 20 features. 20 features. I see people talk about, we don't want feature creep. Fine. You use the old version of Final Cut. I'm going to use the new version with the new features. If you're scared of features, I'm scared of new features, I don't want feature creep. Nonsense. 11 years for dupe detection is not feature creep. XDR, I bought in 2020. Apple doesn't make them in quick iterations. They stick for a few years. Let's go to 2020, then that's 2 years, I see. Plus, it's expensive, right? It's expensive. I love that you talk about using an iPhone for video. I have been using my iPhone for years to shoot cutaways at press conferences. I worked at the National Archives in Washington, D.C. I was the post supervisor down there, okay? I filmed with my iPhones all the time behind the scenes stuff, even a little bit in the green room, So there are plenty of places, especially some places in Washington, they would not let you come in with the camera. They wouldn't let you do it. But I could pull my phone out and say, I'm just taking a picture, and hit the record button, the video record button instead. Plus, you always have it with you. I have mine with me all the time. This iPhone 14 Pro Max is a phenomenal camera for an iPhone. It shoots 4K ProRes. It shoots 4K cinematic. It has all kinds of advanced features. The selfie cam is vastly improved from the iPhone 13 Pro Max, because I had both. I had the 12, I had the 11 to 12, the 13, and the 14. I get a new one every year. Trade my old one in, get half the money back, buy the new one. This is phenomenal. The cameras in this thing are absolutely astounding. The front camera now does 4K cinematic if you wanted to. You can shoot 4K cinematic with the front selfie camera. So I use it all the time. It's my main camera simply because it's always with me. I take it in the nightstand when I go to bed. Get up in the morning when I get up and feed the cats and make coffee. I put it on, listen to some podcasts while I'm making coffee and waking up. I'm outside. I take it with me. It's always there. I can have it up and running in a matter of a few seconds. And the quality is superb. Eric says $5K for XDR. I thought the new ones are going to be less, right? That's what they said. The new ones were going to be less. iPhone is good for capturing a moment, need higher end hardware for creating the moment, in my opinion. There's films done with iPhones. There are films that have been done with iPhones. Of course, it's not as good as a full rigged camera, the frame, but it's getting pretty close. And since most things are going to YouTube, that the quality that the iPhone puts out, I guess Android too, I don't do Android, but I'm not saying it's the same quality as a Red. But I'm saying, do you always need a Red camera? No. And there's a lot of places that I film, I couldn't take a Red camera. They wouldn't allow me in the building. The iPhone, pull it in my pocket, done. When I was at the National Archives, we had President Obama there one time doing a speech in the rotunda. Well, I'm the main sound guy. I'm the one doing all the live sound because everybody else was whatever. They just didn't know how to do it. They were afraid of it. I've been doing sound for a long time. So I did sound, for example, for Obama. Had to go through, security, let's just say. They check you for everything. They want to see every single thing that you have. Yeah, here's my iPhone. Take it out. No problem. I didn't have a camera with me, but I had my iPhone with me. Got pictures, got a little video. Not a problem. But I couldn't take a Red camera with me. I mean, the AV crew had cameras set up in there, but that's just standard stuff. I like doing behind the scenes kind of things. So there's lots of times, but the quality of this thing is superb. Obviously for B-roll, I have a GH5 that I use for bigger shoots. I ordered the GH6 and I canceled the order. If I bought a camera today, it would be the Sony a7S III. That's the one I get simply because of the incredible low light performance that thing has. So I'm hoping they put out an a7S IV at some point because the a7S III is now 2 years old, 2 or 3. What monitor would you recommend for Final Cut Pro and Capture One editing? I'm not sure about Capture One. I'm on a new Apple Silicon MacBook Pro still use 30. I have, let me just show you this. Let me just pull this up. So this is my monitor. I have a 34-inch LG monitor it's a Thunderbolt monitor, and I really, really like it. Let me just see something here. Capture One. I'm new on the new. So, yeah, I'm just going to see. So this is my monitor. This is my big monitor that I have. It's a 34-inch wide by the regular aspect ratio high, and I really, really like it. I also have a screen off to my left over there. I have another screen over there for a third screen, and then down below me I have the MacBook Pro screen. So below me I have this one. Let's look at that. This one. This is the MacBook Pro screen, which is right below me. So I have 3 screens I'm running, but my main one is this LG monitor. I really, really like this. This is a great setup. I've had it for years. Now, I'm not doing mission critical color grading on this. I don't even know how to calibrate and stuff. I don't really get into that. All right, so now we're back to normal, I think. Yes, looks like we are. Did you watch Unsane, the Steven Spielberg movie with top of the iPhone 5? Not one movie viewer cares. It's the story. Now with 14, it's much better. Unsane was really an interesting one. So you can use the iPhone for the effect, keep it more lo-fi if you want to. But I shoot. The quality is fantastic. Most of my stuff is going on YouTube. The documentary that the Final Cut Pro Summit, Creative Summit documentary that I shot was shot GH4, GH5, and then the last 2 years has been iPhone only. I stopped lugging them around. Quality is phenomenal for YouTube and stuff. You know, I don't know the technical specifications of what's required if you're going to put it on the big screen. I wouldn't really have any issues with it for the most part. As a matter of fact, one of my documentaries is going to be on the theater, the big screen. So I'll let you know how that goes. I made a shot with iPhone 12. It's harder to do that with my Red. Just my opinion. Thanks for comparing me to Soderbergh. Yeah. Is it an LG Ultrafine? I think it is. Yes. No. The thing is, listen. You get into the debates. I'm not going to say that the iPhone's as good as your Red camera, or a Arri Alexis, or even it's not as good as my GH5, but it's really close. For the extra hassle of bringing lenses and battery chargers and X, Y, and Z, I got 1 terabyte of storage on this thing. It shoots ProRes if I want it. It shoots cinematic mode if you want it. I can shoot front and back camera at the same time. You can't do that on a GH5. You can't do that on an Arri Alexa. You can't do that on a Red camera. You can't shoot the front and back 2 separate files at the same time. Okay? So I use that when I'm interviewing people. I use front and back. Am I crazy? Still love the 30-inch cinema display, especially for color accuracy. I don't know. I didn't know that cinema 30-inch display for color accuracy. I have one of those. I have one of those downstairs with my older Mac Pro, my cheese grater. I have one of the 30-inch cinema displays. It's like more of a rectangle. It's not a 16 by 9. But I don't calibrate my stuff. I mean, just basic stuff. I don't do mission critical color correction. So if I did, it would be different. I don't know the specifications. One of the things when we went to the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, we go to Apple Campus. We go see the Final Cut Pro team at Apple Campus, One Infinite Loop. They did a presentation. After the presentation, they would divide us into 2 groups because it was too large to house all of us at 150 people, so 75 people per group. You get a red badge or a blue badge in whatever group you're with. One group went to the demo room, Final Cut Pro demo room. One group went to get food and drinks. Either one is a winner, right? Either one is a winner, getting food or drinks or going to the demo room. So that was 2016, 2017, 2018. 2019, the demo room was empty. They didn't have anything to show us. They didn't do any updates for Final Cut Pro. They had mock-ups of the Mac Pro, but it hadn't been released yet, so you couldn't take any photographs. You couldn't take any videos. It was like ghost town in there in 2019. That was a complete unnecessary. It was completely unnecessary. You don't give us any update. You have hardware that we can't photograph, we can't touch, we can't look at. We can look at it, that's it. It was a ghost town. I walked by and looked in there, and it's like, I'm not even going in. Oh, you can't take any photographs. Can't take any video. Oh, no. No, they showed the Mac Pro at WWDC, but you can't show it now. You can't take pictures. It's not released yet. What a bunch of hooey. 2019 was very disappointing. The presentations and stuff. The talking to the team itself was fine, but there was no update to talk about. Everything that they showed us in 2019 was already on YouTube for the last 2 months. There was no new hardware, no new Final Cut Pro to demo in the demo room, so why even bother? Why even bother? He said it's 14 years old. That's incredible. What is the website? Which website are you talking about? For ENG, the major advantage of a camcorder is the ability to zoom. The press is often placed way back from the action. For Final Cut Pro news is great. You can also shoot and edit using an iPhone and iMovie app. No, I understand all that. I understand completely the advantage of having a full camera. It depends on the circumstance, but I'm saying I'm out in the morning and I'm out on my walk and I see some deer in the sunrise. Okay, am I going to run home and get my camera and tripod and everything? No. Pull my camera out, shoot 4K. ProRes if I want to, cinematic mode if I want to. Slow motion, 240 frames per second. If I want to stop and interview somebody, I can shoot front and back camera at the same time with 2 different files. It's phenomenal. The quality is phenomenal. So I understand the benefit. Website for the summit. Oh, here you go. I'll pull it up for you. Let's find out what the website is. And I recommend the website. I recommend Apple Training Certification. It's FCP. Let me just pull this out. Pull this stuff nonsense off there. I'll copy this and put it up on the screen for you. Add. There it is. FCPGlobalSummit.com. That's where it is. FCPGlobalSummit.com. So the original summit was the Final Cut Pro, the FCPX Creative Summit. And then the last 2 years, of course, because of COVID, they've been virtual. But 2016, 17, 18, and 19, 4 years I cover in the documentary. And it'll be out shortly. On my YouTube channel, I'm probably going to have a preview on, not a preview, I'm just going to have the announcement on YouTube. Thank you, sir. Talking about color monitors, color grading monitors. So, yeah. I'm looking for a new camera. I'm probably going to wait for the Sony a7S IV, whatever that is going to be, because I don't like buying technology that's 2 years old, especially if I'm paying full price, because the a7S III is no sales, very, very limited discounts, nothing much. I don't want to pay full price for technology that's 2 years old or 3 years old. It's against. I'd rather wait. And I have my iPhone in the meantime. I have a GH4, I have a GH5. I got multiple iPhones. So I'm going to wait, and that's probably the next camera I'll get, and I'll switch over from Panasonic, which I have now, I'll switch over to Sony at that point, unless something else happens with Panasonic. Yeah, most of those groups, those FCP, FUG groups are gone. So you're from New Jersey, New York area? Is that what you are? They, when 10 came out, things changed. Most of those FCPUG groups were out before 10. When 10 came out, things changed. We documented some of that in the Final Cut Pro documentary, Off the Tracks. I was the co-editor with Brad Olson on that. We teamed up and did some stuff. But most of that has all changed when 10 came out. The FCPUG groups pretty much folded, most of them. Anyway, I'm not sure if all of them did, but most of them did. Let me just check here. All right. I think we're doing good. There's not a whole lot of news. I come on here so you get a chance to comment, you get a chance to talk about Final Cut Pro. Nobody else is doing this. These live streams like I do to bring everybody on. I'm here for the community. I'm not here to show you, to preach to you about what you should do with Final Cut. I'm here for the community. I do tutorials. I do Final Cut Pro tutorials. That's on my YouTube channel. Absolutely do those. Let me just turn that off, and I'll turn this on. Right here. Richard Taylor TV over there at YouTube. It's also on Twitter and Facebook. Yes, there was an active group in New Jersey run by Art Aldridge. Hey, if there was enough interest, I'd go to those groups. I mean, if there's groups in the area, Baltimore, Washington, I wouldn't go to Washington, it's too far. But if there were one in Baltimore area, I would go. I used to go to an Apple group. As a matter of fact, I met Steve Wozniak there, Apple Pie. They used to meet in Towson area, and Steve Wozniak came there for like the 25th anniversary, something like that. So I used to go to those before Final Cut was that big. But anyway, Final Cut's doing okay. Hopefully 10.7 is a big feature update, not a couple of little features. Here's one, here's two. We'll give you 2 features every year. That's just sad. That's just sad if that's what you're going to do. Please give us more than that. We'll wait till 10.7. I always say I'll wait till this 10. I was disappointed with 10.5. I was disappointed with 10.6. It's not much there. Go back to 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, 10.4. Look at those feature updates compared to 10.5 and 10.6. There's no comparison. There's no comparison. Okay? Resolve is at version 18, and they're still doing features, and they're still doing all kinds of innovative stuff. There's no reason why the Final Cut Pro team can't do it. There you go. Need to go to Greece. Really? I have the 30-inch display, but can you hook it up to a modern Mac? Hook up via HDMI? I thought it was like some kind of proprietary. Let me think. Is it some kind of proprietary hookup? I forget. It's not Thunderbolt. It's not Thunderbolt. We still have an active user group here. Where is that, Eric? Is that Florida? Are you from Florida? I can't remember. I would go to that if it was like outside of Baltimore. Close. I'm not going to go into the city and parking and stuff, but I would do that once in a while. The thing is, when I used to teach and I used to do presentations, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for me because I don't just wing it. I have everything planned out. I have my notes. I have potential questions that the class might ask, try to have answers for those at my fingertips. It's a lot of work doing those presentations for me. Always has been. Anything else? Anybody want to say? Don't forget. Where is that? YouTube, Richard Taylor TV, Facebook, Richard Taylor TV, the whole 9 yards. Central Florida coast. There you go. How did you fare with this last hurricane? I think it hit the East Coast harder than anywhere. But obviously you made it through okay. I'm coming down to Florida for a couple of days for a family event, flying in and flying back out. One thing I like about the East Coast is the weather, changes of the weather. I have 4 seasons and I like that. I'm not a big fan when it gets too cold and I have to go out there and shovel snow or have a snowblower, but I'm not a big fan of the leaves right now, but I like the weather. I like looking out the weather and seeing the change of seasons. So the Apple Cinema Display uses dual link DVI. You have it going to make. Okay, I have a good monitor up here, but it's hooked up downstairs. Okay, dual monitor DVI. That's what it must be. Eric says the beaches got killed with the hurricane. One of my top requests for Final Cut Pro is round trips with motion or move motion functions to Final Cut Pro. I would love to see the keyframe editor that Motion has in Final Cut Pro. I would really, really, really like that because I really like that keyframe editor. I like that complexity. I like all those different things you can do, different menus you can pull up, but you have such sophistication doing keyframing. I like that. I'm not afraid of complex apps. Logic is complex. Logic has many, many layers. Logic has an advanced preference pane. So people that say, "Oh no, I don't want colors in Final Cut Pro. I don't want it to look like this. I want it to look like that." What about the rest of us? We do want it. People are so funny. "Oh no, I don't want you to have things that you want. I only want things that I want. I know more but better than you do." No, you don't. No, you don't. I'm sorry, you don't. There's 4.5 million or so users of Final Cut Pro. And there's lots of people with different opinions. They're all valuable. I don't pay attention to people that think their opinion is the only one you should pay attention to. It's a bunch of nonsense. Ordered a dual-link DVI adapter with USB-C from B&H. Right now it's a hodgepodge of connection. So does that work? Dual-link adapter with USB-C? I never thought about bringing that upstairs. That's interesting. So that's interesting that thing is still respected. I had one. I bought one when it came out. All right. Thanks once again to everybody that shows up at these live streams. I do them for you. I do them so you can have a place to chat about Final Cut Pro. Where else is there any Final Cut Pro activity on Friday afternoon except right here? Right here. You get a chance to come on. You get a chance to talk with your other fellow Final Cut Pros. And I'll keep doing them. I do a couple a month at least. If there's any Final Cut Pro specific news, I'll do them more often. And I, of course, have Final Cut Pro radio, podcast. We're going to have some special editions of this show with guests coming up. They'll be coming up in November and December. Darius says, thanks. Darius News says, thanks for the stream in the chat. Absolutely. Have a great weekend. We are approaching Thanksgiving weekend in the United States. I really like Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday season. I always have since I've been a little kid. So I'm going to be enjoying that around here. Have our small family get together and enjoy the seasons. I have the leaf situation under control shortly. I think next week I got some people coming over to take most of the leaves out, but I'll be doing some of them myself. I have a big system, big setup. All right, everyone. Any more questions before we log off here? Don't forget to subscribe over there at YouTube. I think we're just about done, right? Let me just check over here. Let me just check Twitter real quick. I'll be staying on Twitter. I don't get involved in any of the nonsense over there. I use it for what it is. I enjoy it. You do the FCPX hashtag. There's no place like that. You can't do the, oh, look at you. Need more Roots Rock. I know. Roots Rock Radio was my first podcast that I did 17 years ago. I started 6 months after Adam Curry. I was inspired by Adam Curry. He was out in August, and I did my first podcast 6 months later in March before it hit iTunes. And it was called Roots Rock Radio. But I just don't, it's more and more difficult to do radio, do music on the internet. So where can I get an iCal schedule? iCal schedule for, you mean for these broadcasts? I just decided this morning to come out live, so I just popped it up. Subscribe on YouTube, you'll be notified. Or you can go to, on Facebook, you can go to Final Cut TV Radio. Or Final Cut Radio TV, one or the other. And we have a Facebook group there, a couple thousand members. I also have FCPX Tips and Tricks, which has about 8,000 members. So we have two groups out there. I would say follow along go to the Facebook group. I always post there. Just subscribe, because if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you'll be notified when we're going live. And check my YouTube channel. That's probably the best place for these live streams, because I post there first, then I take the link and put it in Facebook, and I take the link and put it on Twitter. But I'm not leaving Twitter. I'll be there. I find it useful, beneficial for me. I don't see that really changing. I expect it to get better, especially if they start doing long form videos and podcasting. What was that audio platform that people were using for a while? Clubhouse or something? I looked at that. People were inviting me to Clubhouses. I said, oh, I don't think so. It doesn't look. What is that compared to what I can do with this? I'm broadcasting to the world on television right now. Final Cut Radio TV for the Facebook group. Let me pull it up for you. I think that's what it is. I always get confused. Let me pull it up. Here it is. Yes. Let me pull it up. Copy. So here it is. Oh, I got to take that down. It's coming down. So it's Final Cut Radio TV. Squish all those words together. Do facebook.com/groups/Final Cut Pro Radio TV. As a matter of fact, let me put that up. Let me put this back up there, and I'll put up the new address. Do I have it up? Save. There you go. Facebook.com/groups/Final Cut Radio TV. I took the Pro out. Final Cut Radio TV. And you can join that group. And we will, and of course, the YouTube thing over there. And we talk about Final Cut Pro production. We don't put up, there's no nonsense going on over there. If you want to come over there and cause problems, you will be eliminated. Keep it professional, keep it fun, keep it active. And we have a good time over there. That's one place to go. And then YouTube and a couple of other places. Twitter, Richard Taylor TV. I post a lot of Final Cut Pro stuff on Twitter. But if you're not on Twitter, then go to Facebook. If you're not on Facebook, then go to YouTube. I also have, here's another one. But I don't really post much there. I don't really post much there, but you can do this. Just Richard Taylor TV. Oh, I got to turn that off. Just Richard Taylor TV. That's. I don't really post much there, but you can buy me a coffee there if you want to. People supported me when I went to NAB last year, and I had like $200 worth of coffee funds. Plenty of coffee. Look, it looks like the same guy over there. Yeah, it's my twin. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm going to get ready for a Friday evening. Been watching some good TV recently, some good things. I have to recommend, if you like science fiction and mysteries and stuff, Shining Girls on Apple TV was excellent. It was really, really good. Kate Moss, is that what the actress is? Very good. I'm watching a couple of other ones that I really like. I can't never remember the names. Peripheral, that was really good. I'm not sure if it was on Amazon Prime or Showtime. One of those two, that was really good. I'm watching American Rust right now with Jeff Daniels. That seems to be fairly interesting. I can't quite figure out what's going on yet, but I guess I will soon. Anyway, everyone, thanks to you for tuning in. Thanks to everybody out there in Final Cut Pro land. I'll keep doing these to bring the community together. They get hundreds of views, 500 views. Some of them get more. 1,000, 1,500, whatever. I don't do them for the amount of views, but it's always nice when people appreciate and come on. And the other thing is you can comment after the video is off. You can still comment. If you have any questions or something that was in the video you want to talk about, you can comment on it. But I'm going to get out of here, get ready for my evening. It is 3:30 on the East Coast of the good old USA. Hi to everybody from around the world. If you're watching from Europe, if you watch the replay from Australia, we have friends over there in Australia. They'll be coming back on for another episode at some point in the next couple of months, hopefully. And I'll see everybody later.